If you're anything like me, you've probably noticed that the minute you say, I rent, certain people get this look on their face, like you just told them, I don't believe in wearing shoes. Like, oh, but don't you want to own something? I rent my apartment in retirement, and I'm genuinely pro-renting, and I think renting can actually be the calmer, smarter, more secure choice for a lot of us in this season. I know the comments can get spicy, and I'm up to a friendly debate if you watch till the end. Yes, renting has real downsides. You're not building equity, you're subject to rent increases, and you don't control everything the way you would if you owned. All of this is true, but here's what I want to offer. The freedom from high, unpredictable, and sometimes relentless costs of home ownership can give you better financial security and a better quality of life in retirement. Not for everyone, but for many of us. It's not a downgrade, it's a design choice. Hi, I'm Michelle, and on my channel we talk about creating a peaceful, confident life after 50, especially if you're living alone, traveling solo, or navigating retirement. Because retirement isn't the finish line where you get to finally prove you've made it. Retirement is the chapter where you protect your peace. And for me, renting protects my peace. Here's what people think home ownership is in retirement. People picture it like this perfect little story. Mortgage paid off, rocking chair on the front porch, everything stable forever. But a lot of the time, that's not how it plays out. Even if your mortgage is paid, the house is still a living, breathing expense machine. There are property taxes which can go up. It's been on the news a lot in my area recently, retirees being priced out of their homes because of rising personal property tax. Insurance, which can go way up depending on your area. And there's repairs that are not optional. The water heater doesn't care that you're retired, the roof doesn't care, and the HVAC system will wait until the hottest day of the year to rebel. And it's not just the money, it's the mental load. It's that constant background stress of what's next, what's going to break, what's going to leak, what surprise bill is going to show up right when you finally are feeling stable. When I rent, my costs are more predictable, not perfect, not immune to increases, but predictable in a way that makes monthly life feel calmer. I know what my rent is, I know what my utilities are, and if something major breaks, I'm not panicking at 2 a.m. thinking, do I want to cash out $7,000 of investments to pay for this repair? For me, I'm just calling maintenance. That's it, right there. Predictability matters so much in retirement, especially if you're living on a fixed income, drawing on investments, or just trying to make your money last without feeling anxious all the time. I love renting for flexibility because retirement is not always this perfectly stable, nothing changes for 30 years kind of season. In retirement, you might want to move closer to family, or maybe you realize you hate winter, or maybe you want to test out a new city without making a forever decision. And if you follow along for the next few months, you will see that I'm going to do exactly that. And you'll be surprised. It's not really known for its affordable retirement living, but I'm going to check it out anyway. So stay tuned. But back to renting. Renting lets you pivot because we don't always want to lock ourselves into something huge. I don't want to feel trapped by a house. I don't want my whole life to revolve around the property. I want my home to support my life, not become my life. And renting gives you that freedom. If you want to try a different neighborhood, you can. If you want to downsize again later, you can. If you decide you want to travel more and you don't want a house sitting there begging for your attention, you can set your life up for that. And I know someone will say, but rent can go up. Yes, it can. And that's why you plan smart. You choose your building and your lease carefully. You watch the market and you keep a buffer. But really, home ownership costs go up too. Taxes, insurance, HOA fees, maintenance, those don't stay still. They just show up in different forms, often at the worst possible time, and usually in bigger chunks. Another huge reason that renting can be the smarter financial move is liquidity. When you own a home, a lot of your money is trapped inside the house. It's sitting there as equity. It might grow over time, yes, but it's not paying your electric bill today unless you sell or borrow against it. When you rent, you can keep more of your money working for you in investments or savings or a simple cash cushion. Liquidity is what gives you options. Home equity can be a great thing, but it can also create this weird illusion of security. Like you're wealthy on paper, but you're stressed every month because your cash flow is tight. In retirement, I care more about cash flow than to be able to say I own a piece of property. And this is where renting gets unfairly judged. People act like renting is throwing money away. But let's reframe that. Renting is not throwing money away. Rent is like paying for a service. You're paying for shelter, yes, but also maintenance, convenience, mobility, mental space. And mental space is not a small thing. It's actually a big luxury. When you own, you are the project manager of your property. There's always something. A yard, a driveway, a fence, a weird sound, a neighbor issue, a storm, a tree limb. When you rent, your home becomes what it should be, a place to live, rest, and enjoy your life. As we get older, needs can change. You might need a single level layout. You might need an elevator. You might want to be closer to medical care. You might need to be nearer to family support. And you might decide you want a community where you're not isolated. Renting makes those transitions smoother. Because if something changes, you're not trying to figure out how to sell a house, fix it up for showings, deal with inspections, and time the market while you're already stressed about health. That's not the moment you want to be dealing with, we need a roof before we list this. Renting gives you the ability to respond to life instead of wrestling your home into compliance first. If you love to travel, renting can be a better choice because the emotional burden of leaving your house for weeks at a time is real. Even if you have cameras, even if you have neighbors, and even if you lock everything up, there's still that background anxiety. I hope nothing happens while I'm gone. With renting, especially in a well-maintained building, you can leave and actually enjoy yourself. You don't feel chained to the property. For most of us, especially women over 50, simplification isn't about giving up. It's about choosing what you want to be responsible for. And I'm not up to being responsible for a house anymore. I've been responsible for kids, a business, and many other responsibilities in my life. Retirement for me is where I get to be lighter. A lot of people stay attached to home ownership because they want to pass a house down. And if that's your goal and it's realistic and it makes sense for your family, great. That can be a beautiful legacy. But not everyone has that goal. Some people don't have heirs. Some people have adult children who don't want the house or don't live nearby. Some people would rather leave investments or help their kids while they're still alive instead of leaving them a property that they have to deal with later. If you don't feel strongly about passing down a house, renting can free you up to use your money in a way that supports your life right now. If your home is costing your peace, draining your energy, and stressing you out financially, but you're keeping it because it feels like the right thing to do, maybe you should question that, because there's an emotional side, because it's not just the math, it's identity. For a lot of people, a home is a symbol. It's I made it. It's stability, and it's the place where the kids grew up. It's memories and holidays, and it's a whole era of life. So choosing to rent can feel like letting go of something deeper, and I totally get that. But your memories don't live in the walls. They live inside of you. And the identity you built during the years of home ownership, you don't lose those because you don't own the property. You're not less than because you rent. If anything, being able to choose what works best for you without needing approval from society is a sign of confidence. And the relief from a responsibility is real, like physically real, mentally real. There's something so freeing about not spending your Saturday at a hardware store, not worrying about yard work or dealing with a contractor, or not getting 3 quotes and still feel like you're getting scammed. And if you're living alone, every single issue is yours. There's no, well, we'll deal with it together. It's just you. You're the emergency contact, you're the decision maker, you're the one paying for it and managing it. Renting reduces that weight. Not all rental situations are social, obviously, but many retirement rental communities and even standard apartment buildings offer something home ownership doesn't. It automatically gives you proximity to other people. When you're older, community doesn't always happen effortlessly. Sometimes you have to design for it. In a building, you see familiar faces. You have shared spaces, and there might be events, fitness rooms, common areas, and if you've ever felt isolated, especially living alone, those little moments matter. They make life feel more connected. So when people say renting is settling, I'm like, settling into what? A life with less stress, more freedom, and more time for things I actually care about? Sounds like an upgrade to me. Renting isn't perfect. You can have rent increases, you can have noisy neighbors, you can have a landlord who takes forever to fix something. You can have rules that you don't love, and you're not building equity the way you would with home ownership. But ask yourself, what is your priority in retirement? Is your priority to maximize your net worth on paper, or is your priority to maximize your peace, flexibility, and financial stability month to month? Because for a lot of retirees, the goal isn't to win at the housing game. It's to make your money last and to enjoy your time, to reduce stress and keep your options open. And renting can do that. It's about designing a life where your money, your time, and your energy align with what matters most to you. If you want, leave me a comment and tell me, are you team rent, team own, or I'm honestly not sure yet. And if you're pro-renting like me, tell me what you love most about it. Thank you so much for watching.